Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. It's a decisive moment for Ukraine at an EU summit in Brussels as Hungary opposes accession talks. Russia's Vladimir Putin says peace with Ukraine will only happen when objectives are met. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says offensive will continue until Hamas is annihilated. U.S. National Security Advisor to hold talks in Israel. India to build and operationalize its own space station by 2035 and send a man to the moon by 2040. And India and South Africa to play the T20I Series decider in Johannesburg. Ruturaj Gaikwad likely to make a comeback into the team in place of Shubman Gill as the men in blue look to level the series. European Union leaders remain divided over Ukraine's membership bid as they have gathered for a high-stakes summit in Brussels. Hungary continues to block both the membership bid and Eurozone's $54 billion in financial aid to Kyiv. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban says Ukraine failed to meet the preconditions set by the country.
Enlargement is not a theoretical issue. Enlargement is a merit-based, legally detailed process which has preconditions. We have set up 7 preconditions, and even by the evaluation of the Commission, 3 out of the 7 is not fulfilled. So there is no reason to negotiate membership of Ukraine now, even not to negotiate.
Meanwhile, Finland's Prime Minister called Hungary's opposition to Ukraine's EU membership bid as a blackmailing tactic.
We cannot accept any blackmailing. We have to find decision together. What we decide or what we does not decide is clear signal to Moscow, to Kiev, to Washington, to Beijing. And that's why we have to decide that we support Ukraine.
Meanwhile, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz says progress had to be made in the accession talks between the European Union and countries such as Ukraine, the Western Balkan states, Moldova and Georgia.
I'm absolutely sure that this is a necessary debate here in Europe. We must make progress in these accession processes we have. It is a decision of the European Union that we are ready for enlargement, discussing with the Western Balkan states, discussing with Moldova, Ukraine and Georgia. And especially in the case of Ukraine, we think it is a necessary sign that we support the activities of the Ukrainians to meet all the measures that we ask them to meet.
President Vladimir Putin of Russia, in his annual news conference and call-in show, expressed willingness to foster relations with the United States, but criticized what he sees as an imperial policy, suggesting it constrains the U.S. in diplomatic engagements.
As for the United States, we are ready to rebuild relations with them as well. We believe that the United States is an important and necessary country in the world, but this imperial, absolutely imperial policy hinders them, not even us. How so? Because in the public consciousness, they should behave like an empire. If they agree on something or concede to someone, it is already perceived by the electorate as some kind of failure or a vacuum. So the elites are forced to behave in this way to some extent.
President Vladimir Putin also says that the objectives of Russia's military special operation in Ukraine remains consistent. He emphasized that there is no requirement for an additional mobilization of army reservists.
There will be peace when we achieve our goals. that you just have mentioned. Now let's return to these goals. They have not changed. I will remind you of what we talked about then. It's demilitarization, its natural status. As for demilitarization, if they don't want to come to an agreement, then we are forced to take other measures, including military ones.
In the latest on the Ukraine-Russia conflict, Russia deployed 42 drones overnight and fired 6 missiles in southern Ukraine, resulting in the death of 1 civilian and causing damage to grain warehouses near the Danube River. A medical facility, a private residence and a garage were also destroyed in the same attack. The first buses from St. Petersburg entered Finland as the country reopened its border with Russia. The border was shut last month after more than 900 refugees from countries such as Somalia, Pakistan and Yemen entered Finland through Russia in November. NATO member Finland has accused Russia of funneling refugees to the border in retaliation to the country's decision to increase defense cooperation with the US. US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia to discuss the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict. The White House said the two leaders discussed ways to increase the flow of humanitarian aid to Gaza. Sullivan is scheduled to meet Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and members of the Israeli War Cabinet during his West Asia tour. Meanwhile, as Israel's counter-offensive continues, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Wednesday that his country would continue its war against Hamas in Gaza with or without international support. He said in a radio message that nothing could stop Israel from continuing the counter-offensive until it achieves victory against the Hamas.
I want you to pass this along to the last of the soldiers. We are continuing until the end, until victory, until Hamas is annihilated. Let there be no doubt about this. This is important. It is a message I want to convey to each and every soldier over there. Nothing will stop us. We will go to the end, to the victory, no less than that.
Israel's Army Chief, Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, celebrated Hanukkah with the injured soldiers. Hailing the troops as true heroes, the Army Chief said that they are role models for Israel. The ceremony came after 10 Israeli personnel were killed in fighting in Gaza on Wednesday. In other news, Britain, Japan and Italy have signed an international treaty to establish a program aimed at developing an advanced fighter jet. The three defense ministers announced they will start a program focused on creating a cutting-edge fighter jet under the international treaty. The agreement requires ratification from each nation's parliament and envisions the combat aircraft taking flight by the year 2035.
The risks and problems from Europe to the Indo-Pacific are clear for all to see. And so it is enormously important that we join together across our nations to produce this kind of security for our skies.
The national security advisors of Philippines, United States and Japan have urged China to refrain from further provocative actions. They voiced their concern about Beijing's recent dangerous and unlawful moves in the West Philippine Sea. In a trilateral phone call on Wednesday, the three officials reiterated their commitment to close coordination in the coming months to promote shared interests in a free and open Indo-Pacific. While China asserts nearly full control over the South China Sea, an international arbitral tribunal upheld the Philippines' sovereign rights in its exclusive economic zone and rejected China's expansive territorial claims in the contested waters. The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to officially open an impeachment investigation against President Joe Biden. The Republican lawmakers united behind the effort, even as Democrats said that there is no evidence yet of any wrongdoing. The Republican-led House voted 221 to 212 in a party-line vote to open the investigation. The vote came hours after President Biden's son Hunter declined a closed-door call to testify. Biden gears up for a potential rematch with his Republican opponent Donald Trump in the 2024 election. India will build and operationalize its own space station by 2035 and send a man to the moon by the year 2040. Indian Space Research Organization or ISRO chairperson Dr. S. Somnath made the announcement at a lecture at Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi today.
We would like to build the Bharati Antarisha station soon. And we have already given the direction. Our Honorable Prime Minister has reviewed it and he has given us a direction. You must build it by 2035. An operational space station where human beings can go, dock and work. And we are working on this option. And before we actually build 2035, the space station, we'll have its first module of the space station launched by 2028 itself. And that will be a robotic space station. But the manned space station will come up only by 2035 because we need new rocket to do that.
India's Ministry of External Affairs has issued an advisory on overcharging by agents for overseas recruitment and fake job offers by them. The ministry said that illegal agents operate without obtaining license from the ministry, which is mandatory for any recruitment for working abroad. Many illegal agents operate through Facebook, WhatsApp and text messages. The ministry added that valid job offers must allow the worker to emigrate on the strength of employment or work visa. The Government of India has made it mandatory for registered recruitment agents to purchase Prasar Bharati Bima Yojana for the migrant workers, which provides various benefits, including in the case of an injury. For complaints and queries, people can visit the Prasar Bharati Sahayata Kendra in New Delhi or drop an email at helpline@mea.gov.in. With the integration of artificial intelligence in the financial sector, investors and investment banks hopeful that AI will enhance market research and provide accurate trends. DD India's Jessica Taneja spoke with World Economic Forum's Matthew Stephenson about investments in AI and how it could impact future jobs. Take a listen.
We have with us Matthew Stephenson. He's the head of investment and services from the World Economic Forum. Thank you for speaking to us. Tell us about AI and investments. Elaborate a bit on that, especially looking at the Indian landscape.
Well, thank you, Jessica. I think it's interesting because everybody is talking about AI and investment, and it's a very exciting time to be working on those issues. But people are mostly looking about investment into AI, which is very important, and we need the right parameters and responsible conducts and frameworks around it. But I think there's another part of the picture which is not being considered as much, and this is how AI can be used to facilitate investment. So it's not just investment into AI, it's using AI for investment. Let me give you two examples. An investor could use AI to go through 1 million investment projects around the world, and that investor could see which projects are the right match in terms of the risk profile, the sector, the level of return, the time frame. And so all of a sudden there could be a short list of 10 projects. So the speed and the accuracy of decision making could be increased. Or on the government side, the government could use AI to do due diligence and know if an investor, what kind of track record they've had across all the markets of the world in 5 seconds. So I think let's invest in AI, but let's also use AI for investment.
But there are also potential threats due to AI, especially when it comes to disruption in jobs. We've seen the tech company layoffs earlier this year. How are you looking at that development?
Thank you. I think there is a digital transformation underway. We've seen these transformations, these technological transformations in the past, and there are transitions with some industries going up and some industries contracting. And I think before there was a challenge to manufacturing, and now there's somewhat of a transition taking place in the services sectors. And we do see AI potentially having an impact on certain services jobs. And we published a jobs report at the World Economic Forum that looked in a bit more detail in terms of where the jobs will grow and where the jobs might contract. And I think what's important to remember in all of these technological transitions is that there are jobs that may go away, but there are new jobs that are created. And that's the role of the government, really, to create the enabling environment to increase as much as possible the new jobs. So we shouldn't be afraid or shy of technological change. We just need to maximize the positive contribution of new technologies to human conditions and job creation.
Is making news around the world. Finland reopened 2 crossings on its long border with Russia on Thursday. All 8 roads between the 2 countries were closed off in late November to tackle a rise in the number of refugees crossing the border. Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico said at Brussels on Thursday that Ukraine will not receive any military aid. Under his government, he says he will, however, push for a humanitarian aid to Kyiv. Jasper, a Category 2 storm which made landfall in Queensland, wreaked a havoc in northeastern Australia. The heavy winds uprooted trees, caused power outages and led to evacuations and road closures. Authorities have warned locals of a further downpour as the weakened storm now moves northwestwards. And still to come on DD India Live. The leaders of Venezuela and Guyana to meet today for talks over a territorial dispute. Prime Minister Kishida Fumio of Japan reshuffles his cabinet in a bid to contain the fallout of a financial scam. And an ASEAN-India Millet Festival begins in New Delhi to promote the use of millets.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs. With a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. India's Health and Family Welfare Minister Mansukh Mandaviya highlighted nation's achievement in the last 9 years under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The minister stressed the 7 pillars on which the government works to ensure the women development in New India. Take a listen.
मोदी जी ने महिलाओं का विकास को वुमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट यानी कि महिलाओं के द्वारा विकास इस परिभाषा को चिन्हित किया। मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में देश बदल रहा है, देश आगे बढ़ रहा है, नया भारत का निर्माण हो रहा है। नए भारत में देश की महिलाओं की भागीदारी बराबरी की हो, महिलाओं को सम्मान मिले, महिलाओं को न्याय मिले, महिलाओं को देश की विकास की भागीदार बनाई जाए, महिलाओं को सशक्त की जाए। इसलिए मोदी जी ने 7 पिलर पर वुमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट पर काम किया है।
A two-day ASEAN-India Millet Festival kick-started in New Delhi as part of the ongoing International Year of Millets. The United Nations General Assembly at its 75th session in March 2021 declared 2023 as the International Year of Millets. India's Agriculture Minister Arjun Munda was inaugurating the two-day Millet Festival, which involved delegates from all over the ASEAN countries. During the inauguration, Minister Munda highlighted the importance of adapting millets to battle food security, climate change, and various other issues related to present challenges in agriculture.
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मिलेट्स वर्ष मनाना, खाद्य सुरक्षा और बेहतर पोषण सुनिश्चित करने के लिए श्री अन्न के बारे में जागरूकता पैदा करने में महत्वपूर्ण रहा है। इसने अनुसंधान और विकास के साथ साथ विस्तार सेवाओं में निवेश को प्रेरित किया है। अभी हमारे सचिव महोदय बता रहे थे जलवायु परिवर्तन की वैश्विक चुनौती और इससे जुड़े प्रभाव जो हम हाल के हफ्तों में गहनता से अनुभव कर रहे हैं, भविष्य हमारे भोजन और पोषण सुरक्षा के लिए गंभीर खतरा पैदा कर सकते हैं। ऐसी स्थिति में श्री अन्न की महत्ता और भी बढ़ जाती है।
Important thing is that we all have to be educated more about millets. Maybe coming here today and during the exhibition 2 days, so I will bring back to my country something that is more valuable, and I would look through the investment opportunities amongst the Chamber of Commerce of what we can do to make this available, and to share the opportunity. And also one thing about it is that we have to change the perception of millets.
Marking a significant milestone for the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, which is going on across the country, the campaign registered participation from more than 2 crore Indians within 1 month on 13th December. The campaign aims to inform citizens about government initiatives and the nation's progress under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. The Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra reached a village in Udhampur district in the northern Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. A massive gathering of local people actively participated in the event and listened to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's message played through an IEC van and took benefit of various schemes, the stalls installed by departments. The Kisan credit cards, PM Ayushman Bharat golden cards and free cycles to the beneficiary girl children by the Social Welfare Department were also distributed during the event. The participants also took a sankalp or pledge striving to make India a developed nation by 2047. Amid a border dispute over a potentially oil-rich Essequibo region, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro and Guyana President Mohamed Irfan Ali will hold face-to-face talks in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Thursday. Venezuela's government says the meeting is scheduled to preserve its aim to maintain Latin America and the Caribbean as a zone of peace. The office of the President of Guyana confirmed that President Ali had agreed to the meeting, but said that Guyana's land boundary is not up for discussion. The dispute is before the International Court of Justice, though a final ruling could be years away. To the Indo-Pacific now, Japanese Prime Minister Kishida Fumio reshuffled the 4 cabinet ministers on Thursday in an effort to mitigate the impact of one of the largest financial scandals his ruling party has encountered in decades. Kishida appointed former Foreign Minister Hayashi Yoshimasa as Chief Cabinet Secretary and former Justice Minister Ken Saito as Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry. And now to all the news from the world of sport. We'll start with cricket. Team India will face South Africa in the 3rd match of the T20I series in Johannesburg today. South Africa is leading the rain-hit series. First match ended in no result as rain played spoil sport. South Africa rallied to a comfortable victory as they won the second game by 5 wickets using the DLS method. As the two teams lock horns in the final match, the owners will be on the Indian team to secure a victory and level the series. Sydney's southwest suburbs showcased dazzling Christmas light displays. Houses were decorated with thousands of string lights and Christmas-themed items, delighting onlookers who drove or walked to take photographs with their friends and families. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website, ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.